appreciate you putting me up on your channel, bro. But I'm not a white nationalist. You called me a white nationalist. I'm not a white nationalist.
Oh, that's you.
Yeah.
I tell you, like 100% didn't even realize it. You sounded like one.
No. I'm an American nationalist. I'm not a white nationalist.
But you have severe anxiety about you becoming a minority in the country, and
Yeah, but that
you think we
doesn't.
should cut off all immigration.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that like the end all be all. I'll put my race above other people at the detriment of other people. So that's what separates me, right? So I'm an American nationalist. So I'll put Americans at the end all be all above other people at the detriment of other people, but not white people, so to say.
Um, I mean, I'll take your word for it. We could get into a semantical argument about this, but I think that would be boring.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's just definition. It's just the definition of nationalism. Um, but yeah, man, yo, your friends are pretty hardcore, man. I got a few unalivement threats in that
Oh
comment
boy.
section.
Yeah, I've
It
gotten
should be
those from
considered
flat earthers and
self-defense.
stuff before. Some people are
No, it's all cool. I think it's hilarious. I think it's funny. But so why do you think MAGA is cancer? Let me ask you that. Why do you think MAGA is cancer?
because I think it's essentially a cult, and the things that they normalize and celebrate are deeply un-American and inhumane. And the celebration of that, I think, is just so incredibly toxic and sets a horrendous precedent. That I think it just is like literally the kind of thing that can kill us from within. Like if Trump, I don't think it would even be hard for Trump to convince 5 million people to go to civil war against the rest of the country. I don't think it would even be all that hard for him to do at this point.
I can agree with that. I can agree on that, but you could say the same thing for Democrats. You
Nope.
could say the same thing for Joe Biden, Democrats.
Nope.
If
Nope.
what are you talking about?
The the left wing of the party largely abandoned Joe Biden and Kamala Harris over their failed economic promises and their support of what most of us consider a genocide in Gaza.
That was towards
Whereas Donald Trump, like one of the biggest slogans associated with Donald Trump is "drain the swamp," and he is the swampiest swamp thing in the history of this country, and it's not even close. And they come up with all kinds of excuses for it, or they just say, "I literally don't care." Because he's kicking all the people I want out of this country for me, and like whatever else.
100%, and that's where I'll agree that he does have this addictive base and following, right? Because we voted him in for mass deportations to drain the swamp, uh, to end migration from all third world countries, and he realized it.
Sorry,
What?
I'm watching football and the Bills just scored. They didn't rule that oh, they did rule. Wait, did they rule that a touchback? How's that not a touchback? What? Anyways, sorry, I got distracted. Wait,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
what the fuck is going on? He had the ball and they didn't rule it a touchback? He fumbled out of the end zone. How do they have the ball at the? I'm so confused. Sorry, I will. I'm literally going to minimize it because it's too distracting.
you're good, bro. Um, Yeah, so you could see it in what he just did with what was it, 13 or 19 countries that he just banned. And the amount of migration that comes from those countries is minimal, right? So he's not, and with the H1 visas and everything, and yet these people still ride for him, right? So he came in, he said no new wars. We went to war with Iran. We're going to war with Venezuela, and these people still ride for him. And
Yeah.
so I agree that they're cancer, but I don't necessarily know if we're in agreement with why they're cancer, because I still want the things that I voted him in for, that he promised in 2016, that he was supposed to be in 2016, but he's just not
Look,
anymore.
you can shut down the border and not illegally murder people in the Caribbean. You can do that.
It's not illegal.
That's the
Oh my
cancer. It's
God, man.
100% illegal.
No, it's
Congress
not.
has to authorize
They
all
absolutely
all actions of war
no.
have to be authorized by Congress. Well, a
That's
declaration
absolutely
of
not
war.
true.
Yes, a
Yes, that's
declaration
true.
of war has to be authorized by Congress. They have
Was
come up with this stupid novel interpretation of, oh, well, I declared a state of emergency, and that's what gives me the power to do it. There was just an
no.
interview with Tom Cotton on CNN where, because Trump designated them as non-state actors as the justification for doing it, but that still doesn't give him legal justification for it.
It absolutely does. So, Planet, when
It
was the
it
last time that
doesn't.
Congress actually declared war against another country? That there was a congressional declaration of war?
Um, I it may probably during Iraq. I'm not sure, but I agree
No, it
that
was
other presidents
World War
have.
II. World War II was the last congressional declaration of war.
Okay, America. If that's true, then we're just worse than I thought. I totally agree that it's been normalized, and other presidents have done it, but that doesn't mean that it's not also wrong that Trump is doing it.
Well, I mean, so there's a difference between making a moral standpoint and a legal standpoint. So, right, he's the commander in chief. He's the commander of all of our military, right? So he has the capability to send troops into certain countries for a certain period of time, to commit certain amounts of attacks to certain extents. He has the capability to make those decisions without going through Congress. He has that legal capability.
In in some cases, like SEAL Team 6, they killed. Fuck, where was he? Because he wasn't. Where the hell was he? I don't remember where Bin Laden was. But there are some, like, for example, covert operations that can be authorized, but not like this isn't. I'm not gonna. I'll admit that it's a very complex issue. I don't know all the details about it, but this thing about the Caribbean, nothing I've heard about it says that they have just a justification for it. If you go all the way back when they first did it, the the Department of War or whatever, they openly said that they're going to look for the legal justification afterwards, because they were asked like by what authority they had the right to do this, and they said we're going to try to find it afterwards. And what Pete Hegseth specifically did was he fired all the JAGs that he bitched and moaned about get in the way of doing these. Oh, it was in Pakistan. I remember that now. Thank you, chat. He fired all these JAGs because he's like, oh, they don't let us carry out the actions that we need to do. It's like, yeah, because you have to follow international law, and all of that stuff. So, and then they did these strikes, and now they're trying to throw some guy under the bus for it. So he, like, essentially, Trump and Hegseth are like, what's that movie where Tom Cruise is the lawyer and Jack Nicholson? I always forget which one's the actor, which one's the golfer. Says you can't handle the truth, and he says, "You're damn right. I ordered that code red or whatever, because it's guys like me that get shit like that done." I mean, they're just basically embodying that essentially. A few good men.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's right.
I mean, so I'm in agreement with you that
After more than 1,000 debates, I've compiled all the knowledge you need to debunk the arguments you hear from my guests into a book. Rational Answers to Stupid Questions covers evolution, the Big Bang, creationism, flat Earth, and more. Order using the link below, and I will personally sign and ship you a copy today. But Misinformation comes in many forms. My other book, Facts That Aren't True, debunks hundreds of false claims ranging from the human body, history, nature, animal facts, and more. I promise you'll find something in here that you've been wrong about for years.
all they want is regime change, right? So they want Maduro out of there because
Yeah.
Maduro had already offered. So it's not about going in and getting the
Yeah, I
minerals and
know.
getting the oil or whatever they have because Maduro already offered all of that to not even just stay in power. He offered that to be able to run away. So they don't care about that. But I
Yeah. And they don't
disagree
care
with
about
you.
drugs because the president of Honduras got a pardon.
But in that aspect, right? Can we agree that this war has more of a capability to benefit Americans than any of the other wars that we're into if we solve the whole cartel issue while doing it? Now, and then I also disagree with you that we don't have any jurisdiction over there or any reason to be in South America. We have the Monroe Doctrine for a reason. That is our backyard, and it's a national security thing to have control in South America. Otherwise, things because China does funnel most of the fentanyl that goes into South America, which the cartels push into North America.
They funnel it
So
into
if
Mexico.
yeah, but what I'm saying is that's the whole point of us having something to do with South America, right? Having control over that region of the world because
Uh I
that directly
no,
influences us.
that's the lie that they tell. Not even a single percent of any fentanyl that gets into this country comes from Venezuela, and even like cocaine,
No, I'm not.
I doubt it's even a
Well,
single percent
I just
either.
agreed with you that that it's about regime change. But yes, some of the smugglers that get into our country come from Venezuela. It's not that much, but it is, and a lot of the smex trafficking that happens comes from Venezuela. There are a lot of smex workers that come from there, so they play a part in that. But what I'm talking about is the bigger picture, right? So China funnels fentanyl, the ingredients for fentanyl, into South America. Then the cartels take that and they move it into America, which leads to hundreds of thousands of
They
unalignments of
they
Americans a year.
they funnel it into Mexico, not South America. I
Funnel
agree
it
that
into multiple
fentanyl is
countries.
bad, and what China does with respect to that is bad. So then ask yourself, then why are we not bombing Mexico? Why are we bombing Venezuela under the guise of fentanyl and not bombing Mexico when they're the ones that actually do it? Because Mexico is our number one trading partner, and uh, well, that's the reason, and the only reason they're actually doing it in Venezuela, as you correctly point out, is because Marco Rubio and all these South Florida people that have influence over this administration are ideologically committed to it or whatever. Or why are we not bombing we bombed the nuclear facility in Iran. Why not bomb the fentanyl facilities in China? Well, because we can't afford to do that. So like they're just
So
they're just
I have
passing
a
on this
question.
lie of we're bombing our way to a solution to the fentanyl problem when they're not doing that, and we know where they could do it, and they're going to refuse to do that because they're just playing politics.
Yeah, no, yeah,
You have
definitely. I sort of agree with that. But I have a question for you. If we were to move the conflict to Mexico, would you then support it?
no. Um, I I didn't think so. Trump went to Scheinbaum and he said, "Look, we could help you do targeted military attacks on these cartels because Mexico hates them too. At least, like the government of
No,
Mexico
no, no. The
hates
government is paid
them.
off by them.
I'm sure there's an enormous amount of corruption at like local levels in Mexico. Yes, but Claudia Scheinbaum is not friendly to the cartels or anything like that. So he went to her and said like we could help you with this, and she just outright refused. Probably in
Because
the
she's paid
end,
off by
probably smart of her because you can't trust that America's not just gonna then like escalate it and take actions that are end up being detrimental to Mexico. But no, what I would say is fine. Uh, Legalize the hard drugs and regulate it so that you can only buy them at a store, and then have FDA level regulations for the product so you can know if there's fentanyl in it.
but that's
You
absolutely
can literally
insane
keep
to say.
having black market. What if
Have you
if you're a
seen
drug
places in
addict, would
America
you
where it's
rather
been
buy illegal
decriminalized?
black market drugs, or would you rather buy legal, cheaper drugs that are
But
regulated and you know the content of?
the solution isn't to help drug addicts get safer drugs, right? So have you seen places like
That should be
Kensington
the
and place?
solution
No, absolutely
because it
not,
saves
right? So the
lives.
solution is to stop people from taking drugs and
That is our current
stop the
policy.
influx of drugs.
That's our current policy, and it doesn't work at all.
It's state by state. It's state by state. It's not current. I mean, I guess it's current federal policy, right? But states, what's the word? Sorry, I'm losing the word. Um, States enforce their own policies for the most part. But I mean, li- like I said, drug addicts just destroy the streets. They destroy the streets of America. So giving them a legal supply of drugs isn't the right solution to that problem.
It would have to go beyond that, but what the status quo obviously doesn't work, and bombing the boats in Venezuela is a false flag operation. Essentially, that's probably not the right term, but they're not even doing what they say they're doing. So, what's your solution? Make drugs illegal? They are.
No, I mean my solution would be like you just said, we don't give Mexico a choice because if Mexico is allowing and not handling the problem, then they're a national security threat too. So at that point, then we go in and we force the eradication of the cartels because they kill more Americans a year than any terrorist organization in the Middle East or across the globe. So they are a bigger threat to Americans
So, do you
than
think that
anyone else.
you think you could actually get Congress to authorize a declared state of war against Mexico? You'd have to. I mean, the
No,
idea
no,
that
no.
the state of Mexico is doing this to us is actually just false. It's the cartels.
Yes,
So
but
then what we would be doing
you're
is
trying to
an illegal
separate the cartels from
invasion.
the state of Mexico.
Then buddy, this is weapons of mass destruction but in Mexico. It would be
so
a completely illegal invasion of Mexico.
so here's the thing, right? When we invaded Iraq, Afghanistan, and Iran, right? Oh, not Iran, sorry. Iraq and Afghanistan, we designated ISIS and Al Qaeda as terrorist organizations. That's what he's doing with the cartels, which gives him the legal opportunity to commit attacks on them. And we could invade Mexico if we wanted to. And at that point, they either have a choice to help us eradicate, which a lot of their population is in favor for, help us eradicate the cartels, which would benefit them too, or they don't. But the option isn't to just keep letting Americans die from fentanyl every year.
No, I agree that that's not the solution. Uh, what I think we could do is, well, this is changing the subject dramatically, but I would be open to making Mexico an even bigger like economic partner for us, because we offshore tons of stuff like to China for the cheap labor or whatever. I'd be okay with turning the border basically into an extremely narrow and extremely long, almost like a city in a way, and just have it be like a manufacturing hub and just have even more stuff manufactured in Mexico, because what that does is it improves the material lives of Mexicans. And then you would hope that that would play a large role in the like delegitimization of people choosing to be in gangs and cartels and stuff like that. Now, cartels almost certainly do a huge amount of conscription. So, it's multifaceted. You'd have to deal with that as well. But
So, I mean, here's the thing: is you would have to pursue what we're doing in Venezuela in Mexico. You'd have to have a whole regime change because like they have the most political assassinations. I'm pretty sure out of any, I'm not. I don't know if this is a factual statement, but out of any country across the globe, the amount of political assassinations due to the cartels in Mexico is absolutely insane. I mean, they assassinate presidential
so,
candidates like no other, like no other people.
yeah,
So,
there's lots of bad stuff that goes on there. I want to, so this whole terrorist organization thing, It doesn't work the way you're saying. And I forgot the details, so I looked this up a little bit. But the president cannot just simply say, this group is a terrorist organization, therefore I don't need congressional authorization to strike them. That's actually not the case. There was an odd exception they made for that after 9/11, but it's only related to Al Qaeda, I believe. It's called 2001 AUMF. Those nations, organizations, or persons responsible for 9/11 and its associated forces. So that's Al Qaeda and now ISIS, which didn't exist back then. So they're actually doing this. I forgot the exact details of how they're doing it, but Drop Site News does really awesome reporting on this. So does Breaking Points. But they've had to go out of their way to make this insanely stupid argument that the cartels are somehow linked to are you okay?
Someone's
Yeah,
reporting me.
yeah, I know. I just clicked ignore it. So what they've done is I don't remember the justification they did for it, but they're somehow linking the cartels or Venezuela, probably just Venezuela, to Al Qaeda, which is just so unthinkably stupid. While at the same time, we literally just hosted a guy who was the leader of Al Qaeda. He got promoted to some position in some other country. I don't remember where. But like literally the guy that was the head of Al Qaeda was hosted at the White House a few weeks ago. Who was that guy? And that's just more of the hypocrisy from this administration that makes me just want to blow my fucking brains out.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I get that. I'll take your word for that. But I'm pretty sure there's still more legal capabilities that the president has to commit strikes without congressional approval.
It has to be the AUMF. That's the only way.
Right now.
Oh, he's the new president of Syria? Yeah. So Ahmad al-Sharaa, former leader of an Al-Qaeda linked group, and yeah, he was celebrated with open arms in the White House. And then there was also that guy. So like the way he's going around calling Marjorie Taylor Greene a traitor for daring to vote to release the Epstein files. That's a whole nother fucking insane can of worms. But meanwhile, there was that guy. He was American, but he's this weird kind of Zionist. He literally threatened the United States with nuclear war, and he was in prison for like 20 years, and he just got out. And Trump was celebrating him the other day too. Like he sold. I can't remember if he sold intelligence or what he did, but he committed some insane act of treason. Yeah, he went to prison for like.
It's John. I think his name is John P. And he was an American citizen, and he was selling intelligence to Israel, like tens of thousands of documents. Yeah. And our ambassador for America to Israel just met in a private meeting with him.
Yeah, that's right. It was Huckabee. Yeah, Huckabee.
Yeah,
who's
disgusting?
Who needs
disgusting. To? And then the White House backed it after that.
Yeah, it's shit like that where I'm like, just the naked corruption and the pretending you care about an issue while doing deals with people like this. It just makes me want to cry.
So I'm reading about these the laws that give the president powers, because you have to think that Nixon fought a lot of the war in whatchamacallit?
Nam?
Yeah, in Vietnam without any congressional approval.
Well, Vietnam is one of our darkest chapters. The shit that happened there was absolutely horrible.
Oh yeah, 100%. It was disgusting. I think one of the false narratives, though, that a lot of people accept is that we weren't wanted there. So the South Vietnamese wanted us there. They didn't want communism to overtake Vietnam. Unfortunately, it just turned into a whole,
Yeah, Cambodia caught a lot of strays for no reason. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. But The North Vietnamese were using Cambodia as a route to get into South Vietnam. That's why they caught a lot of those strays.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyways,
okay, hold on.
are you
Another option of authorization for the use of military force. Uh, okay, Congress has passed authorizations for military force that give the president the ability to take limited, defined military acts. John Adams was the first president to receive a AUMF from Congress in 1798 during the Cossey War with France. I guess
Yeah,
so.
it's
They can get
authorized use
AUMF.
of military
Yeah,
force, right?
yeah,
That's AUMF.
yeah. Hold on.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm trying to respond to you and read at the same time.
Yeah, but authorized means through Congress, you know.
Yeah, through Congress, but it's not a declaration of war. But I understand that doesn't. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I think I said the AUMF was a war on
Articles.
terrorism thing, which obviously it
Honorable
isn't.
President,
But
Commander, Chief. So, okay. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not finding anything that says that he can't, but I'm also not finding anything that says that Congress has to approve every action that he takes. The Constitution only says that they're the only ones that can declare official war.
yeah, well, the problem with this
Maybe your
is
example is the only example,
the problem with
but
this is that, and this goes back to Bush and Obama. They were both guilty of it as well, and so is Congress. Congress actually likes that the presidents do this because then Congress doesn't have to deal with it. They don't have to take the blame for it. Congress is actually more than happy to let the president essentially own the bad PR that comes along with these, because then they can say, didn't didn't happen, or we didn't, wasn't me.
yeah, 100%. I agree. I mean, Congress doesn't really do much anymore except for shut down the government. So that's really all they do. But yeah, no, I think we agree for the most part. I'm gonna let you get your next guest up here.
I just really quick want to know, like, has Trump lost your support? And
Yes, 100%. 100%. He's lost my support.
okay, yeah, I mean, you hear that a lot from whatever you are, young conservatives.
Young, yeah, young conservative men. I mean, that's why the Republican Party is in shambles right now because conservative men ages 18 to 35 have completely redacted their support from Trump because, like I said, he promised us a golden age and it's just not supplying it. All he's doing is catering to Israel and dramatizing the things that he's doing. So, like immigration, like mass deportation, he's not even deporting a mass amount of people. We had 15 to 20 million people coming into this country from 2020 to 2024. He's only deporting 800 a day. And then is trying to use the whole self deportation thing to make it look like, there's a mass amount of people deporting, and that's just not true. So, I mean,
So
and I'm not,
I
what
have
happened?
I have a question for you. Just like, and this is like totally hypothetical, but like let's pretend Trump could run for, like, let's pretend this was his first term, so he could be up for election again, And so, like, that he just has broken all of his campaign promises, and you have no reason to think that he will um do them in a second term.
Yeah.
So what what would it take for a Democrat to get your vote? And they're not going to run on mass deportation. They just aren't going to do it. So you kind of have to forfeit that. So given that, but Trump's not doing it either. So what
Yeah, but he
actually would
also
it
did
would it
secure
take
the
for
border.
you?
So they would have to secure the border. I was thinking about actually voting for
Well,
RFK
it's
before.
totally closed right now. I mean, not
Yeah,
totally closed, but
yeah.
so
So
if they
if they
just
kept the
said,
border
I'm
closed,
not going to change that policy. Um,
and they moved away from the whole trans ideology stuff, and
oh, of course.
yeah, of course. If they moved away from the extreme liberal agenda and started moving towards like the the Kennedy Democrat era, I would have no problem voting for a Democrat. I'm not some
What do you
person
think
that's going to
about
vote
Bernie?
Republican all the way. No, Bernie is. I'm not a socialist. I would never vote for socialism.
Interesting. You know, Bernie and Trump, like their economic views overlap like tremendously.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but wouldn't that say more about
Okay.
say more about Bernie than it does about Trump? I mean, then he's not really a true socialist. He's more of a capitalist, isn't
He's a democratic socialist. I mean, I don't know. I'm sympathetic to that view because the way I think of it is I don't think we should abandon the concept of like private property or whatever. But for me, the way I think of it is, look, how are you going to give kids universal pre-K unless we take money from rich people? You have to let people make money so we can take it. That's my view.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a false notion that the rich don't pay their taxes. I mean, they pay. I'm pretty sure it's within the 90 percentile of all of the taxes that are paid in America.
That's only income tax.
But what taxes do normal people pay? Like your average American, what more taxes do they pay?
I'm going to have to just forfeit this point because I don't remember off the top of my head, but this talking point that they pay whatever percent of all of the taxes. It's not all of the taxes, it's the income taxes. When you start to add up the payroll taxes and all of the other things, the number goes precipitously down. And
But that's another reason why we should get rid of illegal immigrants, right? Because they don't pay payroll taxes on illegal immigrants because they don't pay them a payroll; they pay them under the table. So that's not taxed income.
well, that's
Immigrants
not
not paying taxes,
universally the
and the
case.
business owner isn't paying taxes.
Um, I mean, the idea that all illegal immigrants are just paid in cash under the table, it's not really support. But we're now at a point where I'm not really going to be able to say too much that's instructive. So,
Well, how do you pay an illegal immigrant on the books if they don't have a social security number?
um, I you can be. How do I want to say this?
Because
I
if
don't
you're
know.
working here on a visa, then you're not illegal. Then you have the
Right,
capability to make money on the books.
right.
So
They
when
may
we
be
talk about illegal
undocumented, but
immigrants,
well, look, I don't know how to tell you this, but um, or how to explain it to you. I've had it explain. I've heard the explanation for it, but no, I mean they're paid and then they pay into the Social Security and all that stuff. People are saying an ITIN number. I don't know what that is. Sorry, everybody. A corporate TIN or whatever. I don't know what that is. Sorry, but no, I mean there is a pathway where these people are paid not just in cash, and yeah, there's federal withholding on their paycheck. Like we all that's on everybody's paycheck because it goes into, well, for some industries it's not, but the part of the payroll is that federal withholding, the 7.5% or whatever, that goes into Social Security and all of that. We do know that they pay in and then don't get to take
yeah,
out.
I mean, no, that's not true. So they pay in about, I think last year they paid in, I think it was like $97 billion, but they took out $56 billion. So yeah, that's a net
In
benefit.
well, not in
You're not
not in
taking in,
Social Security,
well, in all social programs, or just
right? Like they
taxes
go to
in
the
general,
emergent,
right?
right?
So
Because they go to
yeah,
the emergency room and they have to get care, and it's like, okay, we should have universal health care. Um, so like if an American goes to a country in Europe and uh, is hit by a car, I don't ever hear any America First people that are against universal healthcare or anything like that. I don't hear any of them say, "Yeah, it would be good if that country let them die on the street because they're not a citizen." You know, I never
yes.
hear that
I mean, I'm
argument.
not necessarily opposed to universal healthcare. I just think that it always ends up in longer wait times because you
All
have to
right.
think about it like this, right? No, well, I mean, it's just just think about it. Not everybody wants to be a doctor, right? Can we agree upon that?
Yeah,
Even
that's
even if
definitely the case. Yeah.
we already have a shortage of doctors and nurses in this country, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, and that's with private healthcare, and that's with them being paid a crap ton of money. An RN in New York makes a starting salary of already six figures a year, right? If she works at a hospital or a private doctor's office, that's not even including the doctor. So the money incentive isn't making more people join the healthcare system or the healthcare profession. So now you're going to open the door to everybody with free healthcare. And obviously, they're going to choose the best provider. Everybody wants to go to the best doctor. So what does that do? That overloads the doctors at those practices. And like we just agreed, not everybody wants to be a doctor. So
But
now you're applying more pressure to the healthcare profession that
but
we're
you
already
say
having a
this,
shortage with.
but other countries spend less money than we do and have better health outcomes than we do. There are some things that we do a little bit better on, but you have to really zoom in on certain things. And it's like certain
Yeah.
types of cancer research, but a lot of that is because of the hundreds of billions of dollars in research grants that go to public universities in this country. So there's no reason to think, and you could also have like an option for private care. Like there could still be cancer specialists around the country that sort of can pay to go to or whatever.
I mean, what you also have to take into account though is those countries' population size. So, I mean, I would be more okay with having a free healthcare but not abolishing private healthcare, right? So you have a free
Well, they
healthcare for anybody
usually,
that can't afford
yeah, it's
healthcare.
usually called something like a public option, where a public option is it's sort of the opposite. Like I'm talking about universal, but the option for private. Public option is kind of like it stays largely private, but there's a public option, not exactly the same, but
Yeah, I mean, and even like the free healthcare system that we have right now, if you make what 30,000, 40,000, you're not eligible for that healthcare, and I think that that's completely wrong because if you make 30, 40,000 dollars a year, you can't afford private healthcare. So things like that, I think we can fix. But to get rid of private insurance in general, I think that's a completely wrong idea. I think that's anti-American.
well, this is one of the we're gonna have to end it here, but this is one of those
Yeah, that's
things where, in principle, I could agree with you. The problem is what ends up happening in practice, because in practice, the healthcare industry is unbelievably corrupt. They have more lobbyists than there are people in Congress, and it just doesn't work. It's sort of like I don't know, like it's almost like guns, and it's like, you know what, I think that there are certain or like maybe prohibition would be a good example. There's really no argument that we should tolerate the consumption of alcohol to the degree that we do. Just for whatever reason, unfortunately, when you try to do prohibition with Americans, what they do is just end up creating the mafia and all this other shit. It's like
it's
I think
America,
I think
baby.
some places have a culture where they can tolerate certain changes. America doesn't have that. We're too rootin' tootin' for it. This video and all my videos is on my Patreon ad-free, and you can get a free copy of my first book by being a member too. Plus, your name will appear in the end credits. Thank you.